Sit here at my perfumed feet as my poem unfolds before you. An epic that springs from the depths of the sea and finds its end upon strange shores. For this is your story, the story of Argonus, son of Argus the shipbuilder and friend to Jason the hero. Our tale begins like many a sailor's story before it, with tragedy and a lilting song that carries from one dark wave to the next. Awaken. Book 1, The Blight. This owl seems unaware of its preternatural perch, and unconcerned with the plight of a shipwrecked sailor. A frozen scream is etched upon the face of bewitched Typhus, helmsman of the Argo. Never again shall he foretell the rising of black waves. Acastus, the son of King Peleus and a lifelong consort, reaches in vain, his sun-baked flesh now that of ashen stone. This statue, if it could be called thus, is that of Hylas, a man whose hands brought ore to water not but a day ago. More than a piece of driftwood, this plank was once surely bound to a mighty ship. No craftsman could sculpt a child so lifelike, nor create that which now stands lifeless. Abundant with boughs of leaves, this mosaic appears to be made of limestone, and thus surprisingly light. Light glints off this strange carved stone, half buried in the sand. Her planks broken and her floorboards shattered, this skiff offers naught but harbor to small fish. This statue is of Amphitrite, queen of the sea. Sadly, the goddess did little to hinder the decimation that litters these rocky shallows. The water that flows from these rocks would keep even the most stalwart from discerning what lies beyond. The chalky fleece of this ewe is wanting for a shearer's work. 'Tis Palamonius, son of Olin and Lernus, whose bodily frame and valor no man could match. This young woman, most likely a temple worshipper, seems to have been frozen in time. An unseen hand forces Argonus from his feet and into a dense thicket skirting the stone path. A soothing voice murmurs in his ear as the sailor witnesses the passage of things only spoken of in tall tales, and even then, in whispers. "Be quiet for but a moment," the voice counsels. Once the otherworldly creatures fade from sight, Argonus pulls himself from the dust and gazes skyward. Before him, held aloft, is a handsome woman, replete with glory and power. How many times must fair Athena save one man? The immortal asks, her head tilted with uncommon grace, her eyes soft. Before words can form on Argonus's lips, she continues. "'Tis not a query to be answered so readily, sailor of the Argo. Shadows gather," she says. "There is a blight upon this isle. Have you not seen its handiwork? The flesh of your companions no longer flesh. Their bones, that of the earth." The woman's eyes drop. "I fear my own hand may have set these dire events into motion. For this, I will make amends. But know well, many of your brethren yet live, for I have seen them with my own eyes. Find them, Argonus of Crete, and as I did for your father before you, I shall provide a boat and passage from this isle. You have the word of fair Athena." Not a heartbeat later, the goddess is gone, and breath gladly returns to the sailor's lungs. No doubt struck by the hand of an Argonaut, the head of the Hydra lies lifeless, its flesh still warm to the touch. Poor Canthus, son of Abas. Never was there a sailor more eager to quest or raise weapons against a common foe. It is said that he was granted an enchanted weapon from Ares himself. Hail, strong Erebotes, the son of Iris, skilled in the seer's art of seeing between the mortal coil and the dark veil beyond. Calais was a welcome comrade and could fashion ships to make trial of the seas with heavy oars. Taenarus has lost a great son in Euphemus. He was the most swift-footed of men, and was wont to skim the swell of endless seas. If not for its stone plight, this Methosian Hydra is like the one said to have been brought low by Heracles during his 12 labors. This wayfarer's spear is both a formidable weapon and a sailor's crutch. No doubt struck by the hand of an Argonaut, the head of the Hydra lies lifeless, its flesh still warm to the touch. This statue would appear newly struck, as the salt of the sea has yet to assail its stone. This hound was not spared the fate that befell the other inhabitants of this isle. 'Tis naught but a fisherman's net, set so the west winds can reach its sodden threads. Whether spooked or merely provoked, the stallion launches itself from the cliffside before mighty wings carry it far above the awestruck sailor below. Nearly 200 men high, the massive bronze soldier stands silent, enthralled by the euphonious song rising from below. Massive stone doors are cradled by the sheer cliff face. A semblance of Pasiphae, the immortal daughter of the sun god Helios, guards the entrance into this mountain. Though salty mists shroud their form, there is no denying the women upon the rocks. Or even from here, the lure of the siren's song.
Blessed are those who chance upon this manuscript, only to marvel, perhaps in disbelief, that a goddess appeared, let alone spoke, to a simple sailor. Whether for grandiosity or merciful boon, fair Athena has once again brought me from certain harm. Yet this time it was not from deep water's grasp that she pulled a drowning man. This peril moved quickly, set high upon slithering tails. 'Tis true, for I have beheld such.
Finding a trinket such as this upon these shores, let alone within the boughs of this tree, must surely be a portent. While the tip of this spear may no longer be fit for battle, it may still serve another purpose. Albeit, using the broken spear, Argonus plucks the necklace from its roost before laying it about his neck. This grotesque statue is that of Honorable Castor, skilled to guide swift-footed steeds. The odd shape of this blue-grey stone gives nary a hint. The stone drops neatly into the groove, and the great eye slowly moves, revealing a hidden passageway. An intricate carving of a fish betrays which god inhabits the temple beyond. This woman was no doubt on her way to pay tribute within the temple. Her last moments of horror remain etched upon her face. Ancient tome in hand, this priest was caught unawares and is now made of the same stone as the carved god behind him. Even the pious have not been spared the bewitchment that has befallen this isle. This vase, portraying Poseidon and a merhorse, may have once held water or oil. At the moment, however, it holds neither. Colorful tiles create an exquisite depiction of the sea god ruling his realm. The shape of this stone tablet, embellished with detailed illustrations, would indicate that it is incomplete. Girded skeletons, ready for battle, are skillfully represented on this broken tablet. Painstakingly carved by the pious, reliefs such as this can be found in any temple from here to Lurcia, unencumbered by the burdens of man. This mosaic depicts the gods both at war and at rest. This stone is bereft of markings, offering no explanation for the small depression set into its surface. The yellow light it emits is curious. Deep waters, lavished with mermen and gods, are etched into this mosaic. Unlike the unearthly statuary that inhabit this isle, this towering statue of Poseidon shows the workmanship of a master sculptor's hand. Removing the necklace, Argonus holds it before the statue, praying silently that Poseidon recognizes it and grants audience to a weary wayfarer. The great sea god does not disappoint. Within seconds, marble shudders, foundations shake, and the heart of Argonus is quickened. The Lord of all waters speaks.
Who would call upon Poseidon, only to be found wanting of tribute or song?
Poseidon stretches forth his arm.
Where are my consorts and vassals? Look about you. You may seek them, but they will not be found. They have deserted me, forsaken me in this darkest of hours. And who has set loose the scourge that you have borne witness? Athena's puppet, the son of Danae and Zeus himself.
The sea god pauses for a moment, taking measure of the sailor before him.
Yet, even so, my anger is not fit to be laid upon the shoulders of my bondservants, let alone set upon one whose necklace bears my mark. Leave me to my grief and seek me no more. I have opened a way for you. Take it if you wish, or abandon it. It matters little.
The statue of the sea god turns his gaze away from the sailor and speaks no more. Small boats, such as this, lie broken upon the sands of this isle. This net has been set out so as to dry in the warm ocean wind. Having survived the wreck of the Argo, Agamedus, a brave comrade, fell to bewitchment and is now naught but a perch for birds. Lord Poseidon spared neither the mighty Argo nor her oarsman Danaus, whose once tanned flesh is now made of the same sharp rocks about him. Here stands strong Coronis, warder of Ocalia and friend to all who put oar to Poseidon's dark waters. This statue appears to be under construction. Considering the dire circumstances, it may remain so indefinitely. A small opening, no wider than 2 shields, can be seen in the cliff's face. This man appears to have been shielding his eyes from the very thing that took life and left only stone. Of men who would share the toils of his brethren, none compare to fair Asterion. Never again shall this beast of burden pull cart or dray. The blight of which Athena spoke has left a trail of sorrow in its wake. The simple robe of this man betrays him as an attendant of some god. Which one, however, is unclear. While some of this etching is ambiguous and incomplete, a single distinct monstrosity is not. Laden with empty barrels, this wooden cart sits idle, its heavy wheels resting in well-used ruts. This wayward pig is concerned only for that which will feed its large belly. Powered by the large blades, a heavy stone moves slowly within a wide grinder. Clearly caught unawares, this simply dressed man hinders entrance into or egress from. This creature had nary a chance to escape its petrified fate. Uncovered food such as this is sure to draw flies. Although no fire burns within, this clay stove is still warm to the touch. In contrast to the fine statuary on this isle, this table is poorly constructed. The great Phidias of Athens himself not craft a sculpture so lifelike, yet lifeless. The look of horror on this mother's face is a thing to haunt dreams and drive men mad. The bane of this isle has claimed both the young and the elderly without prejudice. Judging by its appearance, the stone pestle has seen its fair share of use. There is little of interest on this sack likely contains grain. This hide has been set out to dry, no doubt to later be used as clothing or bedding. This parchment is inscribed with 3 illustrations of native flora. Next to each is a name and a brief description. Datura, purple trumpet flower. Black nightshade, white flowers with berries. Mandragora, green leaves with red flowers. Near the bottom is a drawing of fire, and within it, a single word: sleep. Neither man nor woman is granted mercy from the scourge that stalks this isle. Neither discarded coins nor any telltale markings can be seen within this fount. The mosaic piece that occupied this space is missing. Sadly, pleading for one's life will not deter that which relishes in bringing both horror and death. Clothes have been set to dry on this clothesline. A few uninteresting items rest upon this table. This large shelf is stocked with various vases and bowls. Poorly made wooden chairs frame an equally paltry table. Tireless winds blow past the form of fair Argon, who was well skilled at inferring from sun and star the stormy winds. The form of a child, still in mid-stride, is no more than a lifeless statue within tall grass. Having endured sore afflictions and beached ships, 'tis sad to see Arius, son of Bias and brother of Teleos, in such a state. 'Tis Argonus, whose lyre charmed stubborn rocks upon the mountains and the course of rivers. Zetes, the son of Boreas, shall stand battle-ready for all eternity. Much like her life, this elderly priestess's torch has not only been snuffed, but petrified. The eyes of this man appear as if pleading, begging to be released from a stone prison. Whatever prayers of supplication this woman lifted to the gods went unheeded and apparently unanswered. While impressive statues dedicated to the goddess Hera are not uncommon, the dearth of pious attendants is troubling. Provoked by the wandering sailor, the great statue of Hera moves, her unblinking eyes falling upon Argonus.
Who are you, Argonus? Historian? Storyteller? Mapmaker? Of these things I have no need. 'Tis a warrior's heart I seek.
With that, the goddess turns away and becomes stone once more. Argonus reaches for the golden apple, but a monstrous hiss from above stays his hand. This harpy is not unlike one that tormented Phineus, blind king of Thrace, before he was delivered by the hero Jason. This shallow pond reflects tall stones, set about it as if to keep the water captive within this golden veil. There are few creatures with a more hideous countenance than an ancient wind spirit turned carnivorous bird. The insatiable hunger of harpies is well documented. The beast's desire for gold, however, is not. Heavy ropes bind the rungs of this simple wooden ladder. This blade, known as a Zaphos, has been neglected. Its edges are dull, and the metal is rusted with age. This silver drachma is oddly struck, bearing the image of a grinning skull. Sword raised, Argonus calls upon Hera, praying the great goddess will reveal herself. The mother of Ares obliges the sailor when the statue slowly comes to life and stone lips part.
Argonus,
She says,
stand where you are and move no closer, for you are on holy ground. I have watched you from afar. I have seen your mettle. I have felt your anguish. Did you know that the gods feel anguish as well? Perhaps not for fallen comrades, but certainly for that which has been taken from us. Zeus's pets have taken to roost, defiling my golden orchard, which now lies fallow. I need but one warrior who would reclaim it. Reclaim my honor. Would the name of Argonus be immortalized thus?
Argonus says nothing and raises his sword once again. Hera nods even as the sailor feels her eyes move from his face to his chest, and then finally resting upon his weapon.
But this sword is ill-suited for such a task. Its blade is dulled, but I will grind it fine. Its tip broken, but I will make it like new.
Hera transforms the weapon, reshaping the steel with nothing more than a wave of her hand. As Argonus marvels at the restored sword, Hera reverts to stone. but not before a final warning.
Prove yourself, sailor of the Argo, and you shall be rewarded. Fail in this, and not even Athena can save you.
The Harpies do not appear to view a single sword-wielding historian as a potential threat. The mosaic, now complete, depicts an epic battle reminiscent of the tales of Jason and the Spartoi. Flint and steel are inadequate to start a fire by themselves. A soft tinder is required to produce the flame. Argonus drives the enchanted sword into the Hydra's mouth. But even using considerable force, the sailor of the Argo can extract no more than 3 of the beast's teeth. As if awaiting the first act of a great play, a circle of tall, silent stones surround Argonus as he reaches for the teeth of the Hydra. With a sweep of his arm, he tosses them into the shallow water, like a farmer sowing his field after winter's winds have faded. The ground trembles beneath the sailor's feet, followed by an uneasy silence. Then, one by one, skeletal foot soldiers rise, their stalwart shields bearing the mark of the very thing that birthed them. The undead warriors look to the trees and move as one toward the harpies that desecrate their branches. They engage the beasts with fury, using sword and spear, staining the green sod below with splatters. After a short skirmish, the dogs of Zeus relent and are driven from the dense boughs and into gray skies. Victorious, the skeletons remain, ensuring the safety of the goddess's orchard. It takes naught but a few heartbeats for the statue to stir, and the mother of all gods to awake.
Well done, sailor of the Argo.
Hera says.
You have driven the harpies from the boughs of my orchard. Their broad wings have taken them into the skies, and their lamentations are heard no more. And what is your reward for such courage? Gold that rests within your palm? Your name remembered in my great halls? Yes, it shall be these things.
The goddess says as she returns to stone.
But step outside this place and see if it can be so much more.
Gazing skyward, Argonus witnesses Hera's promise glide down to the earth upon wings of purest white. No doubt a gift from the goddess Hera herself, a noble steed with white wings and ivory coat. The winged horse is skittish and rebuffs the sailor's attempt to ride the creature. Argonus has yet to earn the steed's trust. Golden apple in hand, Argonus approaches the stallion with trepidation. But the sailor's worries prove unfounded when the horse gently shakes his snow-white mane and accepts the gift. Sensing a kinship, Argonus straddles the great winged horse, and for a few moments at least, leaves the burdens of the world far below him. This woman could not outrun the horror that pursued her and transformed her flesh to stone. Book 2. The Burden of Thanatos. "'Tis a note written on parchment. It reads, Elhood, the coals were unfit for the forge. Take care with the wood, you let it burn too high. Dirt first, then fire. See Sophos the shearer for kindling. Leonidas." This pile of dirt is intermingled with bits of dark, cold coal. There is nary room left for a single piece of wood. Argonus sets the shovel to dirt again and again until the planks are completely covered. This simple farmer looks to have put up a fight, albeit in vain. Bards will tell countless tales of Idas, he of boundless strength, and slayer of boar and centaur alike. Buttes, kinsman and falconer, is no more. The land of Tegea has lost a favored son. Argonus takes a single cautious step forward before two eyes, set like burning coals, narrow and stop him cold. The Daimon's grotesque head regards the sailor.
Nay, Argonus, son of Argus, thou cannot pass beyond this threshold. So says Hades, lord of the underworld. For just as many legions doth serve me and obey my will, so too Thanatos obeys the will of he who governs the dead.
A dreadful gaze from the Daimon is enough to bring Argonus to a standstill. Razor-sharp teeth part as it addresses the sailor.
I admire thy tenacity, Argonaut, but only my lord Hades can command Thanatos to stand aside.
possessor of a life. Before Argonus can take another step, the Cyclops lumbers toward the sailor, blocking his way. A low growl flows from clenched teeth, its meaning clear. Do not approach the petrified juvenile. The owl appears mildly interested in the wanderings of wayfaring sailors. The great statue of Hades, god of the underworld, lies still and dormant. The great statue of Hades stirs, as if waking from a long, deep slumber. The god of the underworld looks about before his gaze settles upon the sailor.
Argonus, son of Argus, the shipbuilder. I have heard your name spoken within the halls of Zeus, albeit in whispers, and even then through mediary. It is said that fair Athena herself has laid upon your frail shoulders a great burden. And while she charges you to seek out your comrades, I find it curious that the goddess of wisdom would care so much about that which Hades governs.
The god looks away, as if seeking something that even he cannot find.
I know a great many things, Argonus. I know when each soul departs this mortal coil. I know when they enter my realm, and I know on which dark river they set sail. However, what I do not know,
Hades says, his eyes once again turning toward Argonus,
is why the names of two sisters are also uttered high upon Olympus. There is an object, an orb that can grant me such an answer. Who would be my steward? Who would bring it here, to my temple, to me?
Without hesitation, Argonus nods. Pledge made, the god of the underworld stretches forth his hand, and a helm materializes before Argonus.
Take this helm of darkness. Wear it, and eyes will be blinded to you. Succeed in this boon, and I will provide you with something greater. A way forward where there was none. So says Hades, brother of Zeus and Poseidon, ruler of the dead.
And with that proclamation, the statue shifts once more and becomes silent. This juvenile was not immune to that which takes man and mystic creature alike. Even with his keen eyesight, the Cyclops is nescient of the helm-wearing Argonaut. With the helm secure, Argonus attempts to slip past the daimon. The creature, however, is not so easily fooled.
Step no closer, Argonaut,
The daimon says.
Didst thou think that mighty Thanatos is as blind as the Grey Eye? Lord Hades has made all things known to his servant.
Finely embroidered pillows rest. One can only speculate the strange purpose of a glass calcinator such as this is essential when one practices alchemy. 'Tis fitting that an iron cauldron is found here, standing at the ready. It does not take a chronicler nor a seer to recognize the women that warm themselves by the fire. They are the Grey-Eye, witches of well renown. With the aid of Hades' gift, the Grey-Eye are caught unawares as the smoke from the fire billows, carrying the potion within its grip. It takes naught but a few seconds for the witches to feel its effect, and one by one, they fall into a deep sleep. A simple concoction, thrown into the fire, has put the witches to sleep and rendered them powerless. Argonus holds out his hand, and the all-seeing eye of the Grey-Eye rises. The god of the underworld stretches forth his arm, and light, not unlike that of a moonbeam, engulfs the sailor of the Argo. Argonus turns, and for the first time since setting foot upon this bedeviled isle, bears witness to his bane. With naught but a simple gaze, a woman, her hair like a nest of snakes, turns one of his shipmates into stone. The other creature, distraught, moves between the two, pleading. Steno, this madness must end. How many more must perish to satiate your thirst for vengeance? Let us mourn our sister in peace. Let us return home. A flash of anger crosses Steno's face as she moves within mere inches of her cowering sister. Never, Euryale. There is no time to weep or wail, nor shall there be. Not as long as a single breath forms within my breast. The petty gods will pay. Wretched Athena will pay. From Hades' heart, I will stab at them. For hate's sake, I shall drive my vengeance deep. Steno moves toward the looming entrance within the mount, but not before she pauses. When shall my hate have its fill? When shall it be placated? The woman whispers. Never, Euryale. Never. And with that, Steno is gone, and Euryale obediently follows her sister into the darkness, into her madness. The vision falters, and the light that fell from the hand of Hades follows before fading completely. The god of the underworld takes measure of Argonus, and with a final nod, the statue moves no more, and the helm vanishes from sight. It is surprising to see an owl this white upon an eye. Cautiously, Argonus approaches the distraught Grey-Eye, their one eye held out before him, an olive branch extended. Before he can utter a single word, the orb is lifted from his palm, and moments later, gently comes to rest in old, gnarled hands. The sailor braces for retribution, but none appears. The seeresses merely sit in silence. Finally, the first speaks, her voice low and raspy.
This we have not foreseen.
The second follows.
Stolen yet returned.
The third continues.
A quandary set before us. A wayward sailor? Athena's puppet? No, he is more than that.
The witches become quiet once again, staring into a fire that they cannot see, pondering the fate of an uncommon thief.
We know not where this ends.
The first breaks the silence.
We cannot stop it.
Says the second.
Mayhap this one can.
Finishes the third. With that, the first Grey Eye lifts her hand and slowly draws something in the air. The world around Argonus wavers, and he becomes a captive audience to words once spoken between goddess and mortal man.
Come, my lovely Medusa. Lay with me again.
Oh, please, great Poseidon, I cannot. I am sworn in service to a thing. Oh, no. No!
Poseidon, you dare defile what is mine? And here, in my sacred temple?
Mind thy tongue, Athena. Yes, the Lord of the Seas dares. But what of it? Nothing you can do can bring me to harm.
Perhaps that is true. But the same cannot be said of this woman.
My goddess, please. Forgive me.
Athena, no!
As the words fade from his ears, Argonus searches for the witches in vain, wondering how a simple sailor can bear witness to such past events. As Argonus slowly approaches the poisonous cloud, the daimon cocks his head, as if listening to a voice only one such as he can. Seconds pass before the beast turns his attention to the sailor trembling before him.
Never has there been a time when Thanatos was commanded to forsake those souls he was sent to gather. And yet, this is the will of Hades, the one to whom I am subject.
Once again, the daimon looks away before finally letting his dark gaze settle upon Argonus.
I fear this was brought to be by thine own hands, Argonaut. For without thy influence, the Lord of the Underworld would not call me hands. If I am to go forth, one must take my place. For if I cannot harvest the souls of those who remain between life and death, then the son of Argus must suffice.
Thanatos lifts a claw into the air, and without further explanation, utters a single word.
Menas Ignis.
Argonus screams as his land is momentarily enveloped in flame. Just as quickly as it arrived, the pain passes. As the sailor looks upon his new hand in both horror and hope, the daimon begins to dissipate, leaving only the smell of ash in its wake. Moments later, that too fades from this world. The air about Argonus suddenly grows heavy, and without warning, a rift opens, and the favored daughter of Zeus steps through. Athena smiles at the sailor. Well done and done, Argonus. You have proved yourself much more than a historian, much more than a simple sailor. And now, I sense in you a new thing, the goddess says, tilting her head. Do not withhold this gift from those who sailed blue seas and grey swells. Nor should you give up on your brethren, for while many have fallen, some still live. Again, I say to you, seek them out and save them. For the ones that have brought them low, you have now seen with your own eyes. Stheno and Euryale, creatures of madness and spite. Athena's eyes narrow as she speaks with great authority. Gird yourself for what is ahead, son of Argus. Do not grow weary, or fair Athena is with you, and a boat awaits. The goddess slowly nods her head, and without another word, is taken up into the sky. Argonus shudders, ill at ease under the watchful eyes of the maleficent harpies. The name of this woman, or where she was returning from, will never be known. The terror that has a grip on this island has easily overtaken this man. This appears to be a note, written on fine parchment. The note reads, Celius, the beast upon the hill must once again be appeased. Its appetite for riches is becoming insatiable. The poorly constructed shelf is laden with bottles, vases, and foodstuff. The great Phidias of Athens himself could not craft a sculpture so lifelike, yet lifeless. This boy was caught off guard and had little time to discern. Book 3, Forges and Fire. Neither man nor woman is granted mercy from the scourge that stalks this isle. Wooden planks and animal skins. A few uninteresting items rest upon. This wooden chest is adorned with silver embellishments and a simple keyhole. Based on his posture, it is obvious that the terror that haunts this isle caught this man by surprise. This appears to be nothing more than a simple basket, perhaps used in a religious ceremony. This woman, no doubt a worshipper by her garment, shall forever pluck at wildflowers. This statue is of Minos, the king of Crete and son of Zeus and Europa. Young Cepheus, aboard the Argo not but a fortnight, has succumbed to the very thing that has cursed this isle. A notch in the doorframe can be seen behind this large stone statue, but cannot be reached without first moving the impediment.
Come, Pellis. Sit by the fire. Do not tarry in darkness, as it is only shadows you chase. Mayhap so, Nauplius, but is it not what is cloaked in shadows we seek? That which has brought all we know to ruin? That I cannot say. But ponder this. If fair Athena appeared before us, bestowing hope, would she not also offer protection? I know not. All that is certain is that a fear grips my heart like no other. Athena's promises do little to comfort.
Hold! What manner of creature are...
Well skilled to attack a charging foe, Nauplius now stands frozen in time, never again to bear long arrows. This stone visage is of Pelles, warder of Thespia, who surpassed all men in naval skill, be it on high seas or curving shores. While this remnant has succumbed to wind and rain, it is unclear where the remainder of this massive statue resides. This stone is bereft of markings, offering no explanation for the small depression. This stone forge is bereft of coal, and for the moment, useless. It would appear a piece of the forge is missing. Deep scratches mar the top of this stone pedestal. These silver adornments have been left as an offering to the god Hephaestus. Marbled stone shifts as the spirit of Hephaestus enters the ornate statue shaped long ago by human hands. The god of the forge regards Argonus with unblinking eyes.
Who is this man before me? Surely not one who strikes the iron, no one who stokes the fire. Nay.
The god continues, his brow furrowed.
They are no more, having fallen to that which fair Athena hath unleashed. Do not be deceived, sailor of the Argo. While it was Perseus's hand that sundered head from shoulders, the heart that drove the blade was assuredly that of the goddess.
Hephaestus pauses, deep in thought. When he speaks again, it is slow and measured.
I am loath to meddle in my sister's quarrels, either to directly help your quest to find your countrymen, or abate the scourge being wrought by the Gorgon's sisters. And yet, if you return the gold stolen from my temple, and tend my forge, I will grant you a light to drive away darkness.
The benevolent god nods before the statue becomes still once again. The remains of baskets are strewn upon the rocks. Perhaps these once contained offerings meant to satiate the beast. The gaze from the griffin brings the sailor pause. Argonus slowly retreats, leaving the golden treasure be. As soon as Argonus sets the apple upon the earth, A harpy descends, snatching it between sharp talons before returning to the safety of the grey skies above. The griffin, however, remains placid. The presence of such a paltry gift garners nothing more than an indifferent glance from the majestic beast. Again and again, Argonus sets shovel to dirt, until all that remains are a number of coals. Argonus adds the golden apples he is carrying to the basket. With a simple gesture, Argonus frees the soul of the animal from its stone prison. It appears that little time was spent in crafting. The poorly constructed shelf is laden with bottle. Poorly made wooden chairs frame an equally paltry table. By its nature, stone is hard. This one, however, is uncommonly so. This wooden chest is adorned with silver embellishments and a simple keyhole. Argonus squeezes the bellows repeatedly, albeit in vain. Argonus squeezes the bellows repeatedly, albeit in vain. Argonus sets the wool into the forge. It takes only a single strike of steel on flint to produce a fine flame. Argonus squeezes the bellows repeatedly, fanning the flames of the forge until the coals blaze with an intense heat. Argonus approaches the griffin cautiously, glancing anxiously toward the skies before setting the gold-laden basket upon the sod. The beast immediately takes notice, as the treasure is simply too great to resist. After a moment, it leaves its hoard unguarded. All at once, the air is replete with the rush of wings and unearthly screams. The dogs of Zeus descend as one, intent on claiming the savory prize as their own. Although fear grips his breast, Argonus makes haste, quickly seizing several of the golden pieces before the unearthly combatants take notice. Like a hunter returning with prized spoils, Argonus holds the golden artifacts high, and the statue of Hephaestus stirs.
Well done, Argonus.
The god of smiths says, nodding.
While I will not interfere with that which has been set into motion, mighty Hephaestus can instruct. Can he not?
The god motions to the forge.
4 things are paramount, Argonaut. Coal for the fire, air to stoke, metal to shape, and a tool to shape it.
He then points to Argonus.
Sailor, historian, mapmaker, and soon metallurgist. Surely your father Argus would approve.
And with that, Hephaestus looks away and moves no more. The griffin's gold is set carefully within the forge. It doesn't take long for the soft metal to begin to glow. Argonus squeezes the bellows repeatedly, albeit in vain. Argonus sets the petrified heart of the Hydra before Hephaestus, prompting the statue to life once more, without questioning the intent of the sailor, nor asking for a boon in return. The god's mighty hammer crashes down, freeing the creature's organ from its stone prison. Under the watchful eye of the Cyclops, Argonus frees the soul of his friend, hoping the beast understands the sailor's intent. Argonus approaches the petrified creature slowly, glancing back and forth between it and the adult Cyclops. When Argonus reaches the stone creature, he realizes that the adult not only witnessed him freeing the soul of the Argonaut, but must have grasped what could be done for his child. Raising his hand slowly, Argonus allows the power of the diamond to flow through him and into the young Cyclops. The adult begins to wail as the stone breaks, falling to the earth just as the soul of the beast rises and dissipates. His mission of mercy complete, Argonus turns toward the huge beast, his head low. The creature looks at him for a moment, before turning and slowly disappearing from sight. Argonus puts his weight against the stone, but he's unable to move the statue even a hand's breadth. Without warning, the Cyclops appears, his single eye moving back and forth between Argonus and the broken statue. The docile creature wraps its massive fingers around the stone fragment, and, with a grunt, moves inwards. The Cyclops bellows at the sky before fixing its gaze on the historian. Argonus nods with understanding as the creature wanders away. The sailor's merciful boon has been paid back in full. The final keystone placed, a deep grinding fills the air, and heavy stone doors slowly open, revealing a dark passageway beyond. Unlike Hephaestus's forge, this sconce is fueled by a thick, black oil. This sconce is filled with the same dark oil. The surface of the stone shows circular impressions, but they are difficult to discern in this dim light. As if possessed by the spirit of Hephaestus himself, Argonus brings the hammer down on the gold again and again, reshaping once beautiful armor into a mass of precious metal. Divine power continues to drive his strokes as unrecognizable form takes shape and after time becomes something far more than the sailor thought he could construct. A light to drive away darkness. Oil that appears to have never met flame flares to life, casting a soft glow about the cavern.
Milise file caparese. Come, Euryale. It is time.
No,
What did you say?
I will go no further, and neither will you. I won't let you.
You won't let me? You won't let me? I have had enough of your questioning, your endless whimpering.
Sister, this must end.
Yes, you are right. This must end.
What have you done, Zeno?
What was required. Goodbye, Euryale.
Book 4. The Penitent One. After a moment of concentration, Argonus unleashes the Daimon's power upon the stone minotaur. The beast crumbles to the ground, its soul never again to maunder dark corridors. The rock in the center of this room has seen the work of a chisel, as if prepared to be a support or stand. Surely a worshipper, this man and his drum have now become naught but a religious ornament. This woman was caught unawares. Having been transformed to stone, this woman is further proof that none shall be spared the wrath set upon this isle. Argonus is unsurprised when the sculpture of Apollo stirs. After all, he has come to expect such things upon this enchanted isle. What does startle him, however, is how casually the son of Zeus dismisses him out of hand.
How is it that a mere sailor may enter my temple and approach Apollo in such a manner, his hands empty of tribute, no song upon his lips?
The god's voice becomes despondent.
Look about you. All things have been diminished. This sanctuary, once full of music, is now not but a tomb of silence. I sense that you would require something of me. Yet you, a scholar, do not bring me the very thing which my heart desires.
Before Argonus can utter a word, the god of music turns away from him, but not before laying a pledge upon the sailor's shoulders.
Return with an offering worthy of one such as I, and the light of Apollo may yet shine upon you.
Amidst bold heroes, none rose above great Admetus, who now stands bewitched within a husk of stone and clay. The hull of this ship has been crushed. Whether this was the result of sharp rocks is unclear. thanks to the gift of sight granted to him by the witches, Argonus recalls and recites the words spoken by Stheno.
Μίλησε φίλε και πέρασε.
As the doors part, the smell of blood rises to greet him. Rattled breathing leads Argonus to a broken form, half hidden against a stone wall within this dark chamber. When the figure finally speaks, her voice is soft and filled with pain. Come no closer, Argonaut, else you be brought low like many men before you. Even though I, Euryale, refused to let my gaze fall upon them, I offer no excuses, no defense. My acquiescence of my twin Stheno has made me culpable for their deaths as well. Euryale pauses for a moment, catching her breath before continuing. I can, however, offer you something else. Something you seek. My merciless sister herself. Stheno has used an ancient stone to enter Hades' realm. There, she shall descend to the greatest depths of the underworld and undo that which the hero Perseus set into motion when he consorted with the gods. Stheno shall free our sister Medusa from Tartarus, the dungeon of torment. Euryale struggles to continue. Athena was not content with the punishment Medusa suffered in life, so the goddess sent her there to live out eternity with the vile and the wicked. But Stheno shall not stop with Medusa's release. No. She shall rip wide the gates of Tartarus and set loose all souls, profane men and dreadful Titan alike, until the dungeon is empty and those it held spread like a pestilence upon the land of the living. For this is her vengeance against Perseus, against Athena, against all the gods, on Olympus and elsewhere. Stop her, Argonaut! Use our great horn to lure the mighty bronze giant Talos, for he can bring you to the gates of Hades' domain. Her voice raspy and fading, the Gorgon raises her head one last time. Forgive me, Mother. Let legend lay a wreath of mercy upon my wretched brow. And with that, Euryale, the penitent daughter of the sea goddess Keto, passes from this world and into the next. The Gorgon Euryale has followed her sister into the underworld, albeit on a different path. Hera's temple, set just outside her golden orchard. This area on the map represents the temple of the sea god Poseidon, though some features on this sculpture are difficult to discern. Taken in its entirety, it is not. The temple of Apollo, vain god of music, while far larger in life, gracious Hephaestus inhabits a stone statue within a similar temple, the statue dedicated to Hades, lord of the underworld. The location of this temple is unknown, and therefore disconcerting. Argonus strums the strings, producing a surprisingly melodic resonance. Argonus strums the strings, producing a surprisingly melodic resonance. As impossible as it may seem, a dim yellow light beats like a heart within this black stone. Argonus presses his lips to the horn. While impressive, the deep sound fails to draw out that of which Euryale spoke. Argonus pulls the wooden handle, and with a groan of protest, the platform beneath his feet begins to move.
Fair Athena, I have returned. Reveal yourself to me, as your servant awaits.
I am here, Perseus. Do not be afraid. Did you accomplish the task I set before you?
I have, my lady. The Grey Eye revealed the location of Hera's nymphs, who in turn provided me with the sack you see before you.
And what of the other labors?
I have fulfilled them as well. Winged sandals from Hermes, a dark helm from Hades, and from your father, a great sword.
Well done, Perseus. But even all of this will not be sufficient to cleave Medusa's head from her shoulders. A final gift, a polished shield of gold. Use it wisely, else the Gorgon's gaze shall be your downfall. Now go, my warrior, and finish it.
The craftsmanship of this brazier is quite pedestrian, lacking any sort of embellishment. Entranced, Argonus moves unconsciously forward, drawn to the lilting sound of the siren's call. As feet sink into the wet sand, a familiar voice rises above the haunting aria. It speaks to him as a lover might. Hold, my sailor. Go no further. Argonus is knocked to the earth as a rift opens in the sky, and a goddess once again steps into his mortal world, blocking the path ahead. The beckoning ballad momentarily fades from his ears, only to be replaced by Athena's words of quiet rebuke. Argonus, she says, shaking her head, her eyes kind. Is this what fair Athena has become? A map-maker's keeper? A deliverer of historians? You, of all men, know that no living creature can resist the web that the daughters of Achelous spin. The siren's song would surely lead you to ruin. For your sake, and that of your countrymen, I simply cannot let you pass. And with that, Athena, the goddess of reason, becomes a silent sentinel before a stunned sailor of the Argo. Freed from the rocks below, the remnants of a once great Once the stone is held within the light, the world around Argonus wavers. As soon as Argonus lays the lyre at the feet of the statue, the god of truth and prophecy awakens once again. Apollo appraises the gift for a few moments before the stone lips part.
Though its form is crude, and its strings are found wanting, you have done well to bring this lyre into my temple. And although these days are dark, it shall bring music where none could be found. I would appear a boorish god if I did not offer something in return for this boon.
Apollo says, gazing about, seemingly lost in thought. The statue waves his hand, and a heartbeat later, Argonus feels his satchel move.
Take this, historian, so you are forever with song, forever with music. Let it never be said that Apollo is not as generous as he is beautiful.
A smile forms upon Apollo's face, before becoming unmoving stone once more. Argonus attempts to hand the shell to the skeleton. The warrior, however, remains motionless, as if to say, the time is not right. Hoping that he has guessed correctly, Argonus removes the heart from his satchel and plunges it between ancient ribs. Sensing its master, the skeleton turns hollow eyes toward the sailor, beats sword against shield, and obediently follows. Argonus attempts to hand the shell to the skeleton. The warrior, however, remains motionless, as if to say, the time is not right. Argonus places the shell into the palm of his undead vassal. Though neither word nor gesture is exchanged, the skeleton turns and walks obediently toward the shore, even as the goddess Athena fades from sight. When the warrior arrives, the curious look upon the face of the siren quickly turns to horror, as she recognizes the god-imbued power held aloft within fingers of her. The songstress's eyes grow wide as the fetters of her enchantment break, and her sultry voice wavers. In an instant, her baneful song is pulled from her lips and held fast within each. His great task complete, the skeletal warrior returns to its master, a powerful gift cradled in its bleached, outstretched palm. Argonus takes the shell from the skeleton's bony grip. The Hydra's heart within its breast shatters. Its work done, the warrior becomes quiescent once more, as if awaiting orders from the very gods themselves. Remembering Euryale's dying words, Argonus holds Apollo's gift to the mouth of the massive ram's horn. The lilting song of the daughters of Achelous pours from the shell, spreading a grand, beguiling melody throughout the valley below. Within moments, the mountain under Argonus begins to rumble, and the sound of resounding massive footfalls can be heard over the haunting din. Although he has witnessed many events that no other living mortal has beheld, still Argonus's heart is filled with a terrible awe as Talos appears through the sea fog. Drawn by the siren's call, the bronze giant moves steadily, striding toward the mountain until its massive head fills the arched windows of the Gorgon's lair. Before becoming completely still, Talos extends his hand as if in invitation. Sensing a finality to his quest, Argonus does not disappoint the giant. With a deep breath, the sailor steps hesitantly onto the immense bronze palm. Argonus girds himself as if bracing for the crash of a mighty wave, and great Talos turns from the mountain and begins moving once again. As the giant lumbers, far above the dark sea below, the air around Argonus becomes heavy, and the skies part at the bidding of his guardian goddess. Athena, once again revealed in glory, smiles as she speaks. Argonus, my hero, my warrior. You have done what no man has done before you. Yes, you are nearly there. But where you now go, there Athena cannot. Do not lose heart, for my promises are true, and your brethren await you. Again I say, do not despair, for you have proven yourself time and again, and neither Stheno nor the gates of Hades' realm can hinder you. The goddess lifts her hand in a final blessing, as the rift closes about her, and she fades from view. Fare thee well, sailor of the Argo. Fare thee well. His heart heavy, Argonus' eyes are drawn upwards, where he finds himself beneath another towering mountain, a crumbling entrance hewn into its face. Talos moves his massive hand into its scraped stone, allowing Argonus to climb down. His task done, the bronze giant turns and slowly walks toward the very sea that holds dear the heart of Argonus. Book 5. These Dark Shores.
Stand aside, Charon. I claim this boat in the name of my sister, Medusa, who wails in torment within Tartarus.
Only the dead.
So, Hades' undead pet will not yield to me. I say again, stand aside.
Only the dead.
So be it. It matters not. These black waters shall carry my vengeance hence. I shall return, boatman, with the hosts of the dead in my wake.
Argonus contemplates boarding the skiff, but then remembers that the ferryman to the underworld requires a payment for passage. The sailor of the Argo reaches into his satchel, removes a silver coin and presents it to the ferryman. Charon gazes upon it for a moment, then simply shakes his head. Before Argonus can offer protest, distant sounds rise from the river, whispers echoing off wet stone within the damp cavern. Within moments, new voices join the others, creating a disquieting chorus of shouts and cheers. Argonus weeps at the words of tribute as the souls of slain Argonauts rise from the shadows, appearing before Charon, beseeching, entreating, almost as one voice.
Hail the son of Argus!
As the eyes of Charon move slowly from the spirits to the astonished sailor, Argonus's hand shifts once again, showing that within it, he holds the power of life and death. Charon gazes at the gift from Thanatos, and after what seems to Argonus an eternity, the ferryman relents, motioning the Argonaut to board. As he steps onto the skiff and Charon sets his oar to black waters, a sobering thought enters Argonus's mind. At first, it is a small speck, but it grows even as the sailor's eyes widen in understanding. Athena did not lie. She fulfilled her promise. She granted him a boat from this isle, but not the one he imagined. No, not this one. Grasping this great deception, a wave of anger crashes over Argonus, nearly drowning him in its fury. He who had supped, fought, and bled beside hero Jason. He who had sailed seas no man had set oar within. He had been played the fool. But even as this vile thought seeks to overcome him, to bring him to his knees, another appears. It is different from the last and whispers something new into Argonus's ear. Something far more powerful. Perhaps he had washed up onto these shores, a sailor, a historian, a map maker, and yes, the puppet of a goddess. Perhaps this was so. But has he not now become so much more? A hero in his own right, with a story yet to complete. Argonus, the rider of Pegasus, liberator of souls, bane of harpies, forger of light, sets his jaw, knowing that Stenos' retribution must come to an end. And as he stares out beyond the Black River, tendrils of darkness surround the boat, and the underworld claims him as its own. The diamond lifts his hand and speaks.
Well done, Argonaut, for thou hast accomplished that which I could not. When my lord Hades recalled me to his realm, mighty Thanatos obeyed, for he is master, and I servant. Yet I am also the shepherd of the dead, and to abandon the souls of that isle went against my very nature.
Thanatos looks about before addressing the sailor once more.
The Gorgon is just beyond where thou dost now stand. And though thy courage is great, it will not be enough to hinder her. As I am in thine debt, Thanatos will now repay. Gird thyself for what is ahead, sailor of the Argo.
And with that, the diamond fades into the darkness. Shrouded in fog, the dread Gorgon Stheno stands before a massive gate. The gate to Tartarus, dungeon of torment. A mysterious chant falls from her lips as she gestures wildly. Stheno hears Argonus approach and turns to face him. Before her transforming eyes can settle upon the sailor, Argonus raises the gift of Hephaestus and the torch blazes into life. The Gorgon shields her face against the blinding light. Stheno rages, her words daggers.
I will have your head for this, Argonaut! You were a fool to face me alone!
Before Argonus can utter a single word, another voice rises from the fog, one familiar to both sailor and Gorgon alike. He is not alone, sister. Amazed, Argonus watches as Euryale slithers across the rocky ground toward her twin. Stheno begins to wail.
Euryale! We're so close! Kill him! Kill the Argonaut!
No, Stheno. I will not. Euryale replies, her voice strong, her body restored by a grateful diamond.
We must free our sister! We must free Medusa!
No. It is you that must be freed. Freed of your madness. That, Euryale grabs hold of her sister, and the light of Hephaestus becomes like the sun, engulfing its occupants and driving the darkness from every corner of the cavern. As suddenly as it appeared, the light fades, leaving a stunned sailor of the Argo standing alone within this dread hole. It takes a moment for Argonus's eyes to adjust to the darkness. Before him is a statue, or rather two statues, embraced in time. Euryale and Stheno, terrifying creatures born of gods and vengeance, are nothing but grey, pitted stone. The hand of Argonus shifts one last time, and he lets the diamond's mercy flow through his body and into the embracing statue. Stone shatters and rains down upon the rocky floor. The spirit of Stheno rises first, her soul transformed into the woman she once was. As the sailor looks on, the massive gates behind Stheno begin to open. Argonus watches as Stheno's eyes widen in fear as she is pulled into Tartarus, a terrifying shriek upon her lips. The stone doors begin to move once again, and within moments, they close, and a sound like a peal of thunder echoes throughout the room. The Gorgon's screams become distant until they, too, fade from his ears. Her sister gone, the soul of Euryale rises from the rubble to speak once more to the son of Argus.
"Thank you, Argonaut,"
she says.
"What you have done is good and right. Do not pity my sister, for this time her punishment is just. Do not pity me, as your grace has freed me from a life of torment, and now I can rest my weary head. But what of you?"
Euryale says as two great portals appear.
"By your actions, you have earned a place in the golden fields of Elysium beside your brethren. You may stay here and be at peace, where your labors will be naught. Or perhaps your story is not yet finished. If you so choose, you may return to grey swells and blue seas."
With those final words, the soul of Euryale departs into the portal and is seen no more. Within the portal, Argonus can see the slowly moving swells of a calm sea. The portal moves as if alive. Within it, Argonus can see golden fields moving quietly in the wind. A smile creases the face of the sailor as he steps into the portal and a new world beyond. Now, bend your ear one last time to Calliope, lover of Ares and muse of much renown. The story of Argonus and the gods of stone has been told in epic verse. And like the namesaked sailor, I too must depart from this isle, putting aside quill and parchment. Argonus has been reunited with his brethren and walks the golden fields with his mother and father. And while the day may yet come when his legendary journeys continue, for now, the curtain has been drawn, and our role in this grand play is at an end.